Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. In the past, I made a video comparing Bryan Kohberger to Ted Bundy because Ted Bundy also went from Pennsylvania to Washington, and then, when he drove back, he seemed to go through, when he drove back home with his father, he seemed to drive through some of Ted Bundy's areas where he committed the homicides. But I think it's more that Bryan Kohberger was a student at, I think it's DeSales University. I think it was under a teacher who was an expert in serial killers. So it could be that Kohberger is paying an homage to various killers. But after looking into Danny Rawling, my God, everybody, it's amazing, these similarities. Of course, there's differences as every case, but the similarities are pretty startling. All right, so I'm going to start off by showing you guys some interesting elements, some video that was taken by Fox News at the very beginning, before the 20th of November of 2022, and it looks like these are either FBI guys or detectives walking around the crime scene. All right, so let's take a look at that right now and just kind of figure out what they might be doing, and then we'll get into Danny Rawling here in a minute. Now, so there is audio here, and I tried to determine what they were saying, but it's too hard. But they seem to be talking about where he may have parked. He said like he parks above here, and then there's something like that he said. Then they move away so they can't be heard. But it's interesting because it seems like they're looking around even further into that parking area. Maybe this is the point where they're still trying to figure out if it's Madison's room that he was looking in, or was it Kaylee's, because if you do go far enough over to the left behind the residence, you can see into Kaylee's room. This is them walking down the hill. And here is the residence, 1122 King Road right here. And those officers right now are walking down in this area. So from back here, this is Kaylee's balcony right here. So her room is like right there, but there's an angle. So if you are back in the deepest part of the parking area, back here, and it was in the months where there's no leaves on the trees, just like November is, you might be able to see in through the window, just like I showed you guys in the video I made the other day, where you can see various rooms inside the house. From Kaylee's room, you can see a vehicle parked in the parking area. So right now, those officers are walking down there. And now they're down at the patio level, right near the sliding glass door. So, it appears that they believe he went through the sliding glass door, and everybody has been saying that since it's even been in the documents. It's not like he said he was walking, like right here. It's pretty interesting just seeing them pointing at various areas. And then we're going to have a short clip from Fox News when Fox News is interviewing I think an ex-detective or investigator, and Eric Sean mentions Danny Rawling. But I just want to keep taking a look at this. I think it's pretty interesting. So I'll move it forward where they're walking down again. So right here, look at this. This is right where Madison Mogan's room's right here. This is right on that corner where in some of my videos where I'm driving up, I park right there because you can see right into the window. Look at it, it's a really simple little walk down there. You know, he's got his hands in his pockets, you know, kind of a ho-hum walk. And it's interesting, he's looking right there to see if he can detect anything. And where he is right now is right here. So there's that parking spot. Basically, if you park right there, he's walking about right in this area, right here. See, they absolutely believe he walked down that bank there. So maybe that takes away the possibility that he parked further down that road, the side road there. And that area would be almost as if you'd walked from the furthest back parking area. So I think they're just trying to determine where he came down. Or just looking for any clues, perhaps some blood or any clothing items. So that's around the side of the house from the parking area. And we sort of were wondering if maybe he parked down here, but it doesn't seem like they think that. Man, wouldn't you love to be able to hear precisely what they're saying? That would have been amazing. All right. So let's move it to this Fox News interview with Steve Cardioid, former New York City Department of Investigation chief.
Finally, I mean, could it be, this echoes to me, and this was the first Fox News story we ever covered back in 1990. It was the murder of 5 college students at the University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida. And that was Danny Rolling, who was finally executed. Rolling went in, there he is, in 1990 and stabbed to death college students and co-eds, and horribly even decapitated one and put the head up on the shelf. So when authorities walked into the house, it was just horrible. Could this then be an outside situation? Someone like Rolling, a psychopath who just, they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and this guy does this?
Oh, it could be. Law enforcement has to explore everything, including a serial killer. At any given time, there's 20, 30 serial killers operating throughout the United States. This is much like a Ted Bundy killing. But it's something that they will look at. It's something that they will delve into. But right now, it looks like a crime of passion. It looks like these were known entities. And with the amount of rage that is involved here, it's going to be a lot worse than we ever could imagine.
Oh, boy. 20 or 30 serial killers out there right now. Wow, besides this. Steve Cardioid, thank you. Thank you for your service to law enforcement, and thank you for your insight today.
Yeah, I mean, Eric Shawn was onto something there. He got it right. So let's listen to this. This is the opening arguments for Danny Rolling, I guess they pronounce it, and I think you'll be shocked. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. Listen to some of this. I just edited together 2 of the different homicides, and you'll be able to hear what he says. It's crazy, and what Rolling did.
On July 18th, 1990, Danny Harold Rolling walked into an Army-Navy store. It was in Tallahassee, Florida. It was near the bus station. he made a purchase. He paid about $34 plus tax. He bought an item. The item he purchased was a Marine Corps K-bar knife, just like this one.
Are you kidding? So isn't this crazy? He purchased a K-bar knife sheath a month before the homicides, knowing he was going to use it for exactly this type of thing. And we know that Bryan Kohberger purchased a K-bar knife and the sheath on Amazon back in, I believe it was March of 2022, months prior as well. And by the way, this opening argument is on Court TV.
That was the first step in a plan that became an episode that will forever be remembered as the Gainesville student murders. It resulted in the deaths as a result of the rampage of Danny Harold Rowling of 5 people, young students in this community. Sonia Larson, Christine Powell, Krista Hoyt, Manuel Taboda, and Tracy Paulus. You will find from evidence that we will provide for you that Danny Rowling had previously been prowling in the southwest area of Gainesville during that same week that he'd been here, maybe even the night before.
Isn't that interesting? Just like Kohberger, all of his trips to Moscow, Idaho on, I think it's like 22 times prior and leading up and just days before the homicides.
And he went to the back of an apartment, really a small duplex in southwest Gainesville, and he saw a girl emerging from the shower. He watched her towel off. He didn't know what her name was. He found her attractive. We know who she was. She was Krista Hoyt.
Isn't that crazy? So you could see Kohberger pulling up behind 1122 King Road, looking through the windows of either Kaylee Gonzalez or Madison Mogan. I believe it was Madison Mogan was the primary target, but he's looking up through the window and, you know, he's stalking the victim.
He watched her and he left. But he was by no means through, the evidence will show, with Krista Hoyt. We're going to prove to you that on the afternoon of the 25th, it was a Saturday afternoon, Elbert Hoover, Mr. Hoover is a landlord that was Krista's landlord. He noticed the gate latch was unlocked beside the duplex apartment. He noticed it earlier. So he decided to go check on his tenant. He knocked on the door. Krista came to the door. It was about 5 o'clock, and he said, the gate was unlocked, Krista. We need to keep that gate locked. Evidence will be that one of the reasons why is that gate is to a little work area and storage area that goes around to the rear of her apartment. It's the exclusive method by which you would get to the rear of the apartment.
So if these guys if the Kohbergers were covering this case, they would say that the apartment manager's the killer and that Danny Rowling was just somebody who was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Perhaps he was just a peeping Tom that, got caught up in the situation but had nothing to do with it. That's the type of logic they use in every case. It's always a conspiracy.
She thought for a second, and she said to him something to the effect that it could have been the telephone man. He was out here working today. Mr. Hoover will tell you that he thought about it a second. He had seen a telephone truck, although he hadn't seen one in her particular apartment, but he dismissed it. He went back, he latched the gate, and he left. Went back to his apartment. Well, we know now, and the evidence will show you why that gate was unlatched that afternoon. Because we know now, the evidence we will present to you, that he had already been there. That he had already been to the back of the apartment, that he had already peeked through the little jalousies at the bottom of the sliding glass door, which we will show you pictures of.
I mean, right there, doesn't that just seem similar? That, perhaps the sliding glass door of 1122 King Road was already broken, and he did it on a previous night. Perhaps he even walked inside the house on a different night and scoped it out. I mean, it's absolutely chilling listening to this.
That evening, about maybe 9 o'clock, Danny Rolling returned to where he had seen the girl toweling off. He took that screwdriver. He was wearing that same black outfit, that same ski mask, carrying that same gun. Took the screwdriver, busted in the sliding glass door at the rear.
I mean, do you guys hear that? I mean, a black outfit with a ski mask, and then he broke open the sliding glass door. Unbelievable.
We'll show you how that happened. He broke in. He went into a small duplex apartment, one side. He walked to the front. We're going to show you pictures of some computer-enhanced graphics showing you what happened at these crime scenes. When he got to the front door of the apartment, he saw there was a bookshelf right by the front door. That bookshelf right by the front door, we'll show you, is just deep enough that if a person stands in that little alcove by the front door, they can stand there and the person coming through the front door won't know they're there. The other thing you will see is that all you had to do was lean over and you could watch someone coming into the apartment. Danny Rolling took the bookshelf and moved it to the back bedroom. He took the items off the bookshelf, he put them in a pillowcase that was on the bed in her room. He went back to the front, he stood, he watched, and he waited. Now during this time, Krista was with a friend of hers, Paul Schwartz. Paul's going to testify that they were out playing racquetball. About 9 o'clock, they finished their racquetball game. They went to Paul's house. They had some refreshments. They had some cold drinks with Paul, talked to Paul's parents. About 9:45, she left, and she returned to that apartment. Evidence will show that she parked the car where she normally does. We'll show you the approach to the apartment. You walk a little ways from where you park. You walk up to the front door. As she walked to that front door, you will see that Danny was able to see her coming. She unlocked the door. She came in. The evidence will show you that she was almost immediately a sense of something wrong, but it was too late. He was on her from behind. He put her in a chokehold. He choked her to the ground. She struggled. When her struggling finally subsided, he taped her hands behind her back. Threw double tape again over her mouth. He got her up. He took her to the back bedroom. He cut off her clothes again. Now, we're going to show you the evidence of the clothes, but one of the things that the state will show you that you will need to know is that the cuts run from the bottom all the way to the top or vice versa. What that means is, I think we will provide expert testimony that you had to be pretty close right at somebody's face when you made that cut. You just got to keep the shirt down. Cut it up. He cut her clothes off of her. He laid her on the bed. He began to sexually play with her. For what the evidence would show, he's later termed a fairly long time. While he was playing with her sexually, he discovered she was on her period. Pulled out her tampon, threw it in the corner. He turned her over. She couldn't say anything because she was muffled. You will hear evidence that he told his victims what he was going to do to them. He turned her over, stabbed her through the back, through her heart, and she died. He posed her body. He left the apartment. Went back to his campsite. But when he got back to his campsite, the evidence is going to show something went wrong for Danny. What went wrong that night for Danny was that he couldn't find his wallet.
Isn't that crazy? That's just like, you might say, the knife sheath. If you believe that he accidentally left the knife sheath at the scene, you could make this comparison.
He thought he must have lost his wallet back at the apartment, so he returned. He goes back to the apartment, breaks into the apartment again.
See, there's no evidence that he broke back in. There is evidence that he drove back to the area at 9 in the morning, but that seems like that'd be way too late to reasonably believe that there wouldn't be law enforcement at the scene. I believe Kohberger went back to the scene to sort of like an arsonist does. They go back to watch the activity and get a thrill out of seeing that. And as we know, when Kohberger got back home after driving back to Moscow, Idaho, that's when he took that picture where he puts his thumb up in the air, right in front of his shower.
And he looks for his wallet, but he doesn't find it. The evidence is, though, that he now repositions the body because he finds that rigor mortis is set in, and now he can take the body and he can do things with it he couldn't do before. So he sets her up on the side of the bed, poses her. You'll see evidence of this. And he leaves what he later termed, which we will present evidence to you on, a message to Gainesville.
Yeah, and I think this is the homicide where he takes her head off and puts it up on in a shelf or something, a closet where it's looking at the crime scene. I mean, Danny Rolling was an absolute nut job. Maybe we should cover that. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do a show where we go over all the Danny Rolling newspaper articles as each homicide was taking place.
He then leaves, goes to a phone. It's now almost morning. Picks up the phone, makes a phone call, calls 911, gets the police department. Wants to report that his wallet, under the name Mike Kennedy, the name we will show you that he used in Tallahassee, the alias that he used in Sarasota, the same alias that he used when he got to Gainesville, that his wallet under the name Mike Kennedy has been missing. He wanted to report that. It's now time for the 27th. He's now in Gatorwood Apartments. He's been roaming Southwest Gainesville again, and he's watching, and he's peeking in, and he sees a girl, and he watches her for a while. He stands in the dark. He's dressed in black, remember? He's got on a ski mask, remember? He watches her. He waits. Takes that screwdriver, the one he stole. He's armed as he was before. He pops the pin at the side of the apartment on the sliding glass door there. And he pops that pin out and he breaks in. And he goes inside. But he doesn't go straight to the girl's room, because just like he did in scene one, the evidence will show, he's got to check out to make sure there's a witness if that person needs to be eliminated so he can have his way. He goes to the other bedroom, not the one he saw her in.
So this is interesting. It makes me think of Xana and Ethan in this particular incident.
Bedroom, not the one he saw her in. When he goes in there, he sees a sleeping Manuel Tabota. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, remember? Manuel's, the evidence is going to show you a large guy with a large frame. And he gets over it. Plunges a knife just like this one with great force all the way through Manuel Tabota from the solar plexus. But what happens is Manuel surprises Danny. Manuel comes out of his sleep. Manuel fights with Danny. You will see evidence in this case of that fight. But what I will tell you is he curses Danny. He holds Danny. He almost gets Danny, according to Danny's own story. He has to stab him 30 times almost to kill him. But he does get his job done. When he finishes that, just as he completes killing Manuel, Tracy Paulus, it's a small apartment, we'll give you the dimensions. Tracy Paulus has emerged. She has emerged from her room to see what's going on. As she comes out, Danny sees her. He turns to her. He thinks she's armed. What you'll find is she really had a curling iron in her hand. She sees what's happened. She screams once. She goes in her room across the hallway. He chases her. He kicks in the door she's tried to close. You'll find on that door Manuel's blood to Tracy's bedroom.
So I think they're going to be able to do the same thing in the Idaho 4 murder case. They're going to be able to determine who was killed first, etc., based on where various victims' blood is. You know, for example, if Xana's or Ethan's blood is upstairs, then that would probably indicate that they were first. But it could also mean, in that case, that they went back upstairs to Madison Mogen's room, right? So, but I guess if you could say if Madison Mogen or Kaylee's blood is in Xana's room, then you would think that Xana was second to Madison and Kaylee upstairs.
Tracy had called a couple hours earlier. She had called a friend. The friend she had called, and we'll present this testimony to you, is a person who she had talked about her fear because she found out there had been some bodies discovered in Gainesville, and she was very concerned that Manuel better get home pretty soon because she was very, very concerned about these killings. Now what you see is, what you will find is that Tracy's now seeing a man covered in blood, Manuel's, wearing a ski mask, black ninja outfit. She's just seen him finish killing Manuel. She's made the call before. She puts it all together because she turns and she says to him, "You're the one, aren't you?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm the one." Tapes her mouth, takes her hands behind her back, puts her on the bed. Well, that duct tape puts it on that window. He's going to be there for a while. He doesn't want somebody to be seeing him. Sexually plays with her, takes her t-shirt, cuts it off just like he has in the other scenes. Then he talks to her a while, tells her what he's going to do. In that apartment. Then when he's through, he turns her over. And through, you'll have evidence that all she could do was muffle her protests. He killed her by stabbing her in the back. Takes her body, drags it out in the hall, cleans it off, and poses it. Now I say cleans it off. We're going to provide you evidence both at scene 1 and at scene 3 that what he does is he takes dishwashing liquid that he finds at the apartment and he cleans off the bodies and he douches them out with dishwashing detergent because that gets rid of evidence. He cleans her off. We're going to show you pictures of the dishwashing detergent at scene 1. We're going to show you the sheen on Tracy Paulus's body as she's laying in the hall. He leaves that apartment. He forgets and leaves one piece of tape at that scene. It's up on the window. It's almost daylight. He gets out a little faster than he has before. The evidence will be that he left there and he goes across the street for what he tries to decide, and we'll talk about that during the evidence. What appears to have been an old dilapidated building that may have been used for some IFAS purposes a few years ago by the University of Florida. He finds an old building in the woods and he takes the knife and the bloody gloves, he wraps them together and he sticks them down on the ground and he buries them.
So that kind of reminds me of the missing 16 minutes. So after Kohberger leaves the residence at 4:20 and 47 seconds, it should be by Blaine by, I think, like 31. So like 4:31. It's not a far drive down there. And he doesn't get there till, or maybe 4:33 or so he should have been there. But then he doesn't ping there until 4:48. So, you know, it's interesting that there's missing time. Did he also bury the items?
He goes back. We'll have evidence about his movement of his campsite. We'll have evidence about the events that happened next.
Yeah, so that's the end of that other case. And I used the two that mentioned sliding glass door and the outfit he was wearing. I mean, don't you think it's absolutely incredible that he used a USMC, Eagle Globe, K-bar knife, and he had the sheath, and they also wore all black with a ski mask, and he broke through a sliding glass door and stalked the victims outside the residence multiple times before actually going in, and it's just incredible. It seems like Kohberger was trying to emulate Danny Rolling, and I know other people have thought that. I just thought I would put this out there now because I was going through old Fox News interviews and reports and other, but I specifically looked for Fox News because there was a time where they had a lot of different interviews with the Gonzalez family, etc. And they mentioned Danny Rolling again, and it made me remember that people had thought that perhaps he was emulating Danny Rolling. All right, so let me know in the comments what you think. I think it's absolutely incredible, the comparisons that you can make. Obviously, we don't know what happened at the crime scene at this point, so maybe there's even some more similarities we just aren't aware of yet. Okay, so I want to say thank you for everybody watching the video. If you could share the video, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. And again, leave a comment in the comment section and let me know what you think, and let me know if you want me to actually do a deeper dive and maybe look at the old newspaper articles about Danny Rolling. And then we can see if there's even more things that we can find to make a comparison. I would probably do that on a live stream. All right, everybody, thank you all very much for watching. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there.